Oh, okay. In today's assignment, we are, as it says, creating the Chase the Ace subclass of card decks. So, card decks is this superclass, if you will. And right now, there is a pre existing class, subclass called Demon Tail. Now, these are all card games I made up. Chase the Ace. Actually, it's the name of a AC/DC song, but Chase the Ace is I'm gonna presume it's very similar to what they call three card Monty. Okay, and I can even put three card Monty in parentheses right here. So three card Monty is, if you've ever seen a movie where, excuse me, let me go back here. If you've ever seen a movie where this guy's got like three cards on a table and you have to choose the ace of the three cards. So as you can see, this is the superclass card deck, and the I call it CTA, or Chase the Ace. The Chase the Ace deck is only three cards: Ace, King, and two. The DT or Demon deck, Demon Tail deck, is more cards. It's actually four cards, and I actually have them. This is of course in the position here. This is the super class right here, and let me go back to to the actual program right here, because maybe you'll be able to see it better. But this is the super class. Now, this is the main class. Game show, as you can see up there, is the main class. And all the main class is supposed to do is basically run the game. Like here, it's starting the game. So here, game one is Demon Tail. Now, as you can see, why is it that I just say game one runs Demon Tail, or game one equals new Demon Tail, but I don't actually show the game being run? This is Play Demon. Play Demon. Now, ask yourselves, this is Play Demon right here. This is the game, Demon Tail. This is the actual game. Now, ask yourselves, how is it that all I'm doing here is saying var game one equals new Demon Tail, and it runs? So actually, if I run this game, run this program, and let me bring this up, it actually says card decks and shoes. A shoe is just a name for deck. It's like multiple decks in a row. That's what casinos call an array of decks of cards, not an array of cards. An array of cards themselves is called a deck of cards, as you know. However, an array of decks is called a shoe. So I just wanted to be a little playful here and just say cards and card decks and shoes created and ready to be dealt. Good luck and tip your servers. It counts the number of games, so we have one, and Chase the Ace CTA games, and that is actually one. So what this is counting as generic card games, and then it's also counting the amount of, well, actually, it shouldn't say Chase the Ace games. It should say CTA games. It should say Demon games. So let me go back. Let me end this. And Demon Tail, Chase the Ace games. So we'll just say Demon Tail games. Okay, so as you can see, I am fixing things on the fly right here. Sorry about that. So let me start the game again. Okay, so card decks and shoes created. Now this, if you're wondering where the heck did that come from, that comes from the constructor. So in the constructor, we have public Demon Tail, and then it's counting the DT games. So the DT games comes. You recall that I gave you that little sheet. Let's see, not little sheet, that PowerPoint that I told you, that I mentioned to you how classes generally were set up. We have the class name, and why did it just do that? I have no idea. Sorry about that. It has class name, okay? It has your fields, which are usually going to be private, and I can actually put in private right here. Private fields, okay? And then we have constructors, and we have public methods. So the reason why we have fields is first, and now forget about private. That's just, not what I'm talking about. But the reason why fields come prior to constructors is that you can call a globally reachable field, like in this case, a counter, and when the game is created, or when the class is instantiated or constructed, you can make it so it auto increments the games that were run, so you can keep track of how many games of this that you actually ran. So let's take a look. Here we are creating a global reachable amount of Demon Tail games, and I call it int DT games. Now notice it is designated as public because we need it to be reachable from outside. Let me stop this from processing. It needs to be reached from outside of its class, because right now, when you run a Demon Tail game, when you instantiate Demon Tail, and you instantiate it here as game 1, okay, you are actually incrementing the DT games by 1. Why is that? Because I have a default constructor here. As you can tell, it's a constructor. Because we have public and then just the repetition or repeat of the original class name, Demon Tail. And we have the reason why it's the default constructor is because we're referencing no parameters here. It's just an empty set of parameters. So whenever you call Demon Tail, like we do here, let me go back to the main class. Whenever we call new Demon Tail, it will enact the constructor. Everything in this constructor will be enacted. That includes incrementing DT games by 1. So this will increment, DT games will increment by 1. And what we want to do is we wanted to show Demon Tail games. Okay? Demon Tail, the amount of Demon Tail games. Let me just put Demon Tail games. Now, the reason why the game initiates without us actually expressing play demon, so why is it that the play demon game begins to play? Because usually we'd have to say, oops, sorry about this. Usually we'd have to say game 1 dot and then play demon. But we don't have to do that. And can you guess why? The reason why is that I have the method right here, but how do you call it? You can use your constructor to call it. So literally every time you create a new instance of Demon Tail, the constructor does its thing and it runs play demon for you in the constructor. Okay, now what is it about play demon? So the first thing it does, it creates a variable which randomly selects the integer number from the length of DT deck. So let's take a look at DT deck. Now, looking at the diagram right here, where is DT deck? Well, DT deck is in the superclass card decks. Now, why the heck would we want DT deck in card decks? Because the whole idea of object-oriented programming is that we can centralize everything in one superclass and just give out the things that we need for the subclasses. Okay, so I think it would be important so that the superclass has and contains in it all the information that everyone needs, and here you can centralize the location of your deck. So Demon Tail will be using DT deck, and Chase the Ace, you can make it have its own CTA deck. You can make it, you can choose what you want, or you can have everything in one single deck. It is up to you. I leave the details up to you. My only requirement is that you actually create a derived class called Chase the Ace, or frankly anything you want, but it has to be a derived or subclass of card decks, just like Demon Tail is also a subclass of card decks, which means you're at the very least are going to have to refer to at least one of the instance variables in card decks, and that's why I'm saying it's best to use. Maybe you can refer to, if you want, you can change this Demon Tail deck to be the generic deck that all the games go to, and that would be okay. That is the whole point of a superclass. So it's up to you. Now back to this game. So the dealer card will be selected from a random integer selected from the Demon Tail or DT deck. Now if we go to this Demon Tail deck it starts off with 0, 1, 2, and 3. And, you want the viewer or the player to concentrate on Jack, Queen, Ace, and King. So the idea of Demon Tail is it asks you select the card you think is the last card. Okay? So in other words, you have your deck, and based on the idea is it will be shuffled, and that's where the randomization comes into play. And you're going to say, okay, which one's the last one? I am thinking it will be the ace. So if you think it's the ace, and it is completely random, you put in the number 2. Okay, so in other words, select the card you think the last card is, and then I have a reminder string, a reminder string right here, and then I say arrays to string DT deck, Demon Tail deck, and that will list all the cards in the Demon Tail deck, just like you were sitting in front of the dealer in Vegas. For example, select 1 for Queen. So if you look at here, if you think it's Queen, you would select 1 because that is how the deck is laid out. And then it says, okay, uses selects, and then it shows your choice. And then it'll say the dealer card is this choice. Now notice, I don't present it as like, for example, 0, 1, 2, or 3. I go to the dealer deck and then I select the actual card, so the user will actually see Queen or King or whatever. And then the logic says if the dealer card matches what the user chose, it'll say either you win or you lose. So let's run the game. So this is how the game is run. This is the main class, gameshow.java. Okay, this is the main method. And then what it's doing here is saying it's giving you a chance to play essentially 3 games. Okay, so while games allowed is greater than 0, it's going to run Demon Tail. And then it will decrement by 1. So you're only going to run it like 3 times. So let's go ahead and see what it looks like. And let me bring this up. Okay, card decks, and shoes created and ready to be dealt. Good luck, tip your servers. And I believe, CTA, yeah, that verbiage comes from the card decks constructor. So we talked about last time how when you have two constructors, the superclass constructor will be run first, and then the demon tail, which is the subclass constructor. Okay, so we have card games is 1, and demon tail games is also 1. So then it says select the card you think the last card is, and it shows you the reminder: Jack, Queen, Ace, and King. For example, select 1 for Queen. So let's say I think it's the Ace. I will put in the number 2, and then it says you win. User selects 2, and the dealer card was Ace. Now we do it again. We see card games is 2. Demon tail games is 2. Okay. Let's say this time I think it'll be a Jack. So I will put a 0. And let's see. You lost. The house wins. The dealer card was actually a King. Let's play it again. Let's try the Ace again. 2, and oh man, I was going to select King. Anyways, so some of you might be wondering, well, wait a second. What were some of those canceled out statements here? Well, here, sometimes you want to utilize troubleshooting. So what you can do, like you would never do this in a production scenario, but you can actually show the dealer card. And this way you can troubleshoot to make sure you can verify the logic is working. So let me run the game, and then it says dealer card is 3 King. So I'm going to put in 3, and you win. This time dealer card is 0 for Jack, and I win again. I believe you win. This time the dealer card is Queen, and I want to make sure that I choose the wrong one, and this way we can verify the logic. So dealer card is 1 Queen. It says let's pretend that we in a gaming situation we wouldn't know. So let's say we're going to say, okay, we'll choose Ace, which is 2, and then it says you lost, house wins. Okay, but obviously this is only temporary. So let's go ahead and replace the comment and out. So the question is, what exactly? I made this long-winded explanation of the code and the pre-existing environment. You might be wondering, well, what do I do? What's this assignment? It seems like a lot of it has been done, and to an extent you're correct, but your assignment actually is to create an additional derived class. And I just say call it Chase the Ace, but you can really, it's like I said, it's based on 3-card Monty, and you can even call it 3-card Monty. It doesn't have to be called anything, and you can choose whether or not to use the pre-existing deck, or you can choose to create a special deck. But the point is that both Demon Tail and Chase the Ace, or whichever class you decide whichever derived class you choose to call it, the point is that Chase the Ace and Demon Tail are pointing to the same super class. Okay, and just the other notation I wanted to say is that here we make sure it has a constructor. Make sure it counts the games. Make sure it counts the games that is specific to Chase the Ace. I decided to play with it a little bit, but I leave it up to you. But make sure your output matches the output of Demon Tail, and that's your assignment.